Hello everyone, welcome back to another review. The game we're reviewing today is Ghost of Yōtei. So, I was really excited for this game. I'm a huge fan of Ghost of Tsushima. It has one of my favorite stories in all of gaming, probably one of my favorite stories in fiction in general. And so, when I saw there was going to be a sequel, I was pretty hyped. And well, now that it's out and I've played it, did it live up to my expectations? Yes. This game is amazing. Holy shit, I loved this game. So, uh, as usual, we're gonna be splitting this video into two parts. Spoiler free at the beginning, and then spoiler full at the end, as usual. And then both of these segments will be separated into four subsegments concerning gameplay, visuals, story, and soundtrack. Alright, without further ado, let us start with the spoiler-free part and get right into it. So, we are probably already seeing gameplay in the background. That gameplay is from Ghost of Tsushima's Legends mode, so there's no Yōtei spoilers there. Don't worry about it. Let's get started on discussing the gameplay. I think the gameplay is great. I really like this. I really like the gameplay. So there's a lot actually to talk about here. I hope I don't forget or get lost. Uh, but yeah, mm, starting off with the exploration, it's because that's probably what's changed the least from the first game. You have a giant open world, and when I say giant, I mean giant. There are many things you can say about this game. Small is not one of them. This game is really big. There's a lot to do. So you got a huge open world, you got a few areas that you need to visit for the story, and obviously, apart from that, you have lots of side quests, collectibles, all sorts of stuff, just like in the first game. I think the exploration hasn't changed pretty much at all. I think that the only like new element to exploration in this game is the addition of the cartographer NPC. It is a guy that to you can pay him and he will give you the location of a collectible, which is pretty convenient. I think that's actually relay the cartographer. If you don't want to go around looking for something, you can just pay him and he'll tell you where it is. I think that's cool. But yeah, exploration, it was really fun. It was just like Tsushima, except bigger. And there was so much to find, and I really loved all the side content. I think the side quests, collectibles, all of that was really fun to collect. Okay, now that brings us to the combat, which is, in my opinion, the best part of the game. I I love the combat in this game so much. So it's very similar. It plays very similar to Ghost of Tsushima, but better. The like even without talking about all the new stuff that you get, because obviously you get a lot of new tools, which I'll discuss in more detail in the next part of the video. But just the way the combat feels is so much more like savage, and I don't even know how to explain it, but it just feels so much more brutal, so much more violent. The the original game was really violent, but here in Ghost of Yōtei, every sword strike feels so much like more powerful. Every parry feels more powerful. All of the finisher animations that you can do on enemies are awesome, and oh my god, it never got old slicing up all of the bad guys into tiny bits. It was so much fun, and definitely my favorite aspect of this game is just the combat. It's so good. So, like I said, it plays pretty much the same as Ghost of Tsushima, with new tools, which I'll discuss later. But there are also some changes, and the most notable one is you can now chain parries. Remember in the original Ghost of Tsushima, if you parried an attack, it just stopped the enemy's combo in its tracks. And here, that doesn't happen. You actually have to parry. If an enemy has like a 12 attack chain, you have to parry all of them. If you're doing normal parries, because there's still perfect parry. There's a distinction between perfect parry and normal parry, and perfect parry does interrupt the attack chain, but normal parries don't. In Ghost of Tsushima, both perfect and normal parries would interrupt attack chains. Here, nah. If you're just doing normal parries, you have to parry the whole chain, and I think that's pretty fun. I really enjoy that. I mean, I still mostly use perfect parries because I'm just that kind of gamer, but parrying like attack chains was really fun. Really reminded me of Sekiro. I think it has drawn inspiration from that game in that regard. Now, when it comes to the difficulty, it definitely felt more difficult than the first game. I think there are many new enemy types with lots of different attack patterns to have to learn, and they're not always easy to parry, especially guys with spears. Oh my god! I mean, guys with spears were already the toughest ones to parry in the first game, and here, oh, they're so much worse. Here they actually like do full-on combos, and they're so hard to parry. But it's not unmanageable. I played on the hard difficulty, which is the third one. There's four difficulties, so hard is the third one, and it was still fun. Even when I was getting my ass beat, it was still enjoyable. Okay, so that's the combat. Now, one thing that they definitely changed up from the first game is the stealth. Now, it does work. Well, it still does work pretty similarly, but some major changes to it have been introduced that I think make the stealth a lot more enjoyable, but also a lot more difficult. So for one, there is no listen mode. I mean, there is, but you get it very late into the game, and it just sucks, by the way. Even when you get it, I mean, even when I got it, I still didn't use it because it just doesn't feel as easy to use and intuitive as it did in the first game. So you actually gotta, for a big part of the game before you get the listen mode, you have to actually look at where the enemies are. And another thing, you can't hoard wind chimes anymore. In the first game, you could, stash like 100 wind chimes and then just use them to distract enemies whenever you wanted. Here, you have to find the sake jars on the ground, which then you can throw to distract enemies. So you don't have as much like freedom to distract enemies as you did in the first game. And enemies just spot you faster. At close distances, enemies spot you super quick. Everyone who's played the first game knows that running headfirst at an enemy during stealth is actually extremely effective because they don't spot you fast enough to react when you're getting in their face. Here, they're relentless. If you're like standing right in front of an enemy, they'll spot you instantly. 9 times out of 10, you won't have enough time to assassinate them if you're coming at them face first, which I think is cool. It definitely made the stealth more enjoyable. It didn't like the stealth. It felt like I actually had to put some thought into the stealth this time, rather than just running around and assassinating everyone from the front like you could in the first game. So yeah, that's it. Pretty much it for the gameplay, if we're not counting some little nitpicks which I have, because we can't all just be positive here. There's gotta be just at least some negativity to every review. Yep. So it's actually not, none of these issues are a big deal, but I still wrote them down because they were just a little bit annoying. Like for one, I think the horse camera is kind of stupid. In this game, where you get when you get on your horse, the camera, like the edges of the screen, uh, close in, and it gives you like this widescreen view, which I think makes it a little harder to see stuff, makes it more difficult to see where you're going and what you're passing by. I didn't like the horse camera very much. Yeah. What else? I think the okay, yeah, I don't know. It is yes, probably qualifies under gameplay. Uh, when you're talking to NPCs, you'd have these kind of mini cutscenes. You have like fully animated cutscenes for important story moments, and then when you're just talking to some random NPC on the street, you have this kind of pseudo cutscene where it's just the two characters standing and talking. And I think they look kind of silly this time around. In the first game, whenever you talk to an NPC like that, you'd have this view of just Lord Sakai and the NPC. Oh, bumped my mic. Just standing in front of one another. It was kind of like it kind of the camera was kind of further away, and I think that looked fine. Here in Ghost of Yōtei, those cutscenes are filmed in a way that the camera goes right up in the NPC's face and then right up in Atsu's face, and you get to see all of the uh, scarcely animated facial expressions, and it just kind of looks goofy to me when two characters are talking and the camera like switches from one character to another depending on who's talking. I really like it looks kind of silly. And sometimes I don't know, like it's not a big deal by no means. This game doesn't have like actual big gameplay problems. These are just little complaints that I had to fish out because you gotta complain about everything, at least to some extent, right? No, but I'm joking. But yeah, those cutscenes were. It's not a big deal, but it was kind of goofy. I think the actual biggest problem with gameplay is this little bug that I ran into. Well, it's actually, you could call it a big bug even. Sometimes when you're trying to chain assassinate, it just won't let you. Like, you know how if you're trying to assassinate more than one guy at once, you can do that. You can assassinate up to 3 enemies at once, but sometimes the game bugs out and doesn't let you do it. It does sometimes happen when you're trying to go into a chain assassination. You assassinate the first guy, and then the camera just loses its mind and starts just spazzing out everywhere, and it won't let you follow up with another assassination, which was kind of annoying. Because then you had to restart the checkpoint or just abandon stealth, and I didn't really like that. I bugs are not very bugs like that are not very fun. I may tell you, if I'm trying to assassinate someone, I expect that the game will let me do it. So yeah, I guess that bug would be the biggest gameplay problem of the game. Other than that, the gameplay is amazing. I loved the gameplay. I loved playing through this game. It was awesome. Okay, so moving on to the visuals. There isn't much to say here. If you go to any like vantage points like the top of a shrine or literally anywhere that's just like higher up, you'll be presented with the most gorgeous views in video game history. It's every area in this game looks amazing. Everything about this game just looks amazing. I there's nothing to say here. It looks amazing. It's probably one of the best looking games I've ever played, if not the best. It looks beautiful. Like you've got all those colorful trees and the sunlight like reflecting off of them. It looks amazing. I I I can't say anything other than that. It's just it looks beautiful. Okay, that's it for the visuals. Now we're gonna move on to the story. I think the story in this game is great. I liked it a lot. I it's obviously not as good as it was in the first game, but I knew that going into this game. I knew that there was no topping the story in Ghost of Tsushima. It's just impossible. Even if Sucker Punch continued to make video games for the next 80 years, they would never make a story as good as Ghost of Tsushima. It's just that good. But the story they told here was still really good, and I enjoyed it a lot. So without spoilers, it's a revenge story. You know how it goes. Your character Atsu was wronged by a group of bad people, and so she decides to dedicate her life to killing all of those bad people. And since this game is super long, you can imagine a lot of different things happen along the way as she's on this quest for vengeance. But yeah, I really, really liked the story here. But I'll talk more detail about it in the spoilerful part. Yeah, and then the soundtrack. Not much to say here other than it slaps. The soundtrack in Ghost of Tsushima was already beautiful, but I only ever noticed it during like big emotional moments. You know, if there was a big important moment in the story, then the music would just go crazy and just move you to tears. You know, but when you were just wandering around, you didn't really notice the music. At least I didn't really notice the music. Here, you have both. During story moments, the music goes crazy, and even when you're just going around fighting enemies or sneaking around or just exploring, the game also goes crazy. There's a lot of really cool music in this game. I really, really enjoyed the soundtrack. I dare say it was better than in the first game because just because I did notice the soundtrack throughout the whole game, not just during big story moments. Yeah, so I'd say it's better than the first game. Okay, that's that for the spoiler-free part. We're gonna move on to spoiler-full now. If you're willing to click off the video, then do so now. And yeah, those of you who are sticking around to hear me yap about the particulars, and yeah, keep watching. Okay, welcome to the spoiler-full part of the review. You should be seeing Ghost of Yōtei gameplay in the background right about now. Let's just get into it because there's a lot of things I want to talk about. So for the gameplay, I'm just gonna go into praising mode real quick. You remember how in the first game you had to switch stances to counter different types of enemies, which was already pretty damn cool in my opinion. Here, you got a similar concept, except you got full-on different weapons to counter different weapons. It's amazing. You have your normal katana to counter swordsmen. To counter spearmen, you got double katanas. To counter guys with sickles, you get a spear. To counter shieldmen, you get a kusarigama, which, if you don't know what it is, it's a chain with a sickle on one end and a rock on the other end. And you can use the sickle for like quick close quarters attacks and the rock for like heavy long range attacks, which is really cool. And then to counter brutes, you get an odachi, which is a katana except 3 times as big. It's super cool. It literally just wielding this gigantic sword, cutting people up. It's so cool. Every one of the weapons is amazing. I love the weapons. Not only do they counter specific enemy types, as I said, but they also all have their like unique fighting styles. Like you use your katana just for uh, like like it has this special attack where you can like time your moves to empower your attack. So you get these like quick, like not quick, actually slow. Sorry, you get these slow, precise attacks. Then for the dual katana is the one that has the quick attacks. It doesn't deal as much damage per swing, but it swings super fast, and it's like you're just this fucking human whirlwind cutting everyone up. It's super fun to use. So my favorite weapon is the spear. I don't know. I just really like the weight that it has behind it. It has some decent range as well, and has so many cool finishers. Every weapon has amazing finishers. Like with the spear, for instance, you got when you like impale an enemy and you pin them to the ground. You got one where you like stab an enemy with the spearhead and then trip them up with the blunt end, or you have one where you just stab the guy in the face. You make him just eat the entire spearhead. Like for the even for the normal katana, the animations just look so much better than they did in the first game. You have this one in particular where you swing at a guy and your katana gets stuck in the guy's body. So you like tackle him and roll out and get the katana out of his body, which I think is so cool. I really like the idea of that behind that whole animation that your katana's stuck in a guy and you can't get it out uh, and someone's coming at you from the back, you can't dodge away because your katana's stuck in that other guy. So the only thing you can do is go forward and tackle over him and then roll out and get your katana out that way. It's super cool. Then the Kusarigama is also amazing. Like I really love the two different attack types that you can do with the rock and the sickle. It's really cool when you like coming near a shield guy and you're hitting him with the rock, and then when you break his shield, you charge and cut him up a few times with the sickle. Oh, it's so fun. And then the big sword is amazing as well. It just feels so powerful. It attacks super slowly, as you can imagine, but it has so much power behind every swing, and it even has this special parry. It's extremely hard to pull off, but it has this special parry that can counter unblockable attacks, which is just oh my god, I love the weapons in this game. I think they're the highlight. They were so fun to use, and sometimes you get enemies with multiple weapons who can like switch them up, and you will also switch your weapons on the go to counter the weapon that the enemy is currently using. It's so fun. It flows so well. It looks so well. It feels so nice. I love the combat with the different weapons. It was so good. Definitely my favorite part of this game. Holy shit. Oh yeah. They got ranged weapons too, but those aren't quite as flashy. I mean, you still have the half bow and the long bow, which do the same things they used to. You got the bombs, like the normal bomb and the flash bomb, which work the same way they used to. One new addition is the rifle, which I actually don't like that much. I think the rifle kind of sucks. It's a single shot rifle, so after every shot, you have to reload it, which takes a really long time. And so it has this crazy recoil that kind of kicks in even before the bullet fires, which makes the rifle just not fun to use. It just doesn't feel good to like aim it and fire. Like it's kind of hard to explain, but it feels like when as you're pulling the trigger, the rifle already kind of recoils you backwards, and you gotta hold the crosshair on your target for like a second as you're fighting the recoil to actually have the bullet fire and hit the enemy. And that I don't know, I really didn't like the way the rifle worked. I don't know, maybe that's supposed to like mm, represent the mm, represent the what's it called? The resistance on the trigger. Maybe that's why it works like that. But I really dislike the rifle. I thought it kind of sucked. Maybe there are some people that know how to use it. I think it's kind of useless. I think the bow is just outclassed in every way because uh, you can use them in stealth for one, and for two, they do still kill with a headshot and fire way faster. Like if an enemy is wearing a helmet, you still just get your longbow to take care of that, and it fires way faster than the rifle. And I don't know, I really didn't like the rifle. Yeah. And for your ghost weapons, I think the ghost weapons are actually way cooler this time around. So you get the smoke bomb and the incendiary oil, which are unchanged. You've got the kunai, which are way cooler in this game. The kunai in the first game kind of look like Lord Sakai just threw them out randomly. Here they are pinpoint accurate. You use your kunai and boom, boom, boom. You just hit all of the targets you wanted. And they just feel so much more powerful. And on top of that, you can also get a charm that sets your kunai on fire if that wasn't enough. So yeah, really love the kunai this time around. You also have the dirt throw from Legends mode, which is pretty cool that they brought something back from Legends mode and put it in like a main campaign. I think that's pretty cool. And the dirt throw itself is really useful, just like it was in Legends mode. And then there's one more new quick fire ghost weapon, and it's the pistol. Actually, my favorite one. The pistol is what the pistol does is if you fire it while an enemy is attacking, like you interrupt an enemy mid-attack with the pistol, you can then follow up with a critical strike on them, which is really cool and really fun to do. It's my favorite way of countering unblockable attacks. And also you can extend your standoff with the pistol as well. So after you've cut down all the enemies that you could with your katana, you can use your pistol to get one more kill at the end of a standoff, which is super cool. I really like the pistol, not the rifle though. Rifle sucks, pistol good. Okay, I guess that's all I wanted to say for the gameplay here. I actually said more in the spoiler-free part than in the spoiler-full part, which is insane. It's usually the other way around, but that's all I can say. It's just that good. It's so much fun. It's so good, man. Okay, you know what? If you really want me to say something more, then I will trash on the coin minigame. There's a minigame here in this game where at certain locations, you can play this minigame where you have to flick coins into each other. And the minigame itself isn't like terrible, but the problem is that you have to pay for every attempt. If you lose, you have to pay more for the next attempt. And another really annoying thing is that the opponent will always win. Okay, maybe not always, but like 9 times out of 10, your opponent will just win the minigame in one go. So one mistake, in 90% of the time, if you make one mistake, you're done for. You can just restart the checkpoint and pay for another attempt. And that was pretty annoying. I mean, you don't have to do these coin games, not even for the platinum, but I wanted to have everything, and so I wasted like 20,000 coins in total to play these mini games. Okay, I guess we're done with the gameplay now. Can't be too positive, am I right? Okay, visuals. Nothing to say. Actually, nothing to say. I actually don't know what to add on the visual that I haven't already said. Look at the gameplay that's going on in the background, right, and tell me that this game doesn't look amazing. That's it. That's the spoiler-full visual part. Now let's move on to the story. Okay, let's get to the story then, shall we? So, I think the story is great. Already said so in the first part of the video. It's obviously not as good as Ghost of Tsushima because that story is impossible to top. But nevertheless, they still did a great job on the story. So yeah, your main character Atsu is on a quest for revenge. She wants to kill the 6 people who are responsible for the death of her parents, and these 6 bad guys are spread out all across the what's it called? Is it an island? Ezo was an island, right? Yeah, pretty sure it was. Across the island of Ezo, and you need to take out every one of them. Simple as that. So, each one of the regions has one bad guy assigned to it. And I think that's really cool. What I really like about that is it makes the regions feel more diverse than they were in the first game. Like you have the Oni controlling Ishikari Plate, and then you have the Kitsune controlling the Teshio Ridge. You got Saito and his goons controlling the Oshima Coast. It's really cool. Like it feels like every region has its own little story to it, and there's a lot of different side quests around. And both of those regions have a lot of side quests where you can see how people are mm, affected by what the bad guys are doing, and I really liked the diversity of the regions in this game. It was super cool. Like by far my favorite parts of the story were Ishikari Plain and Teshio Ridge. Those two regions were just so cool. You met so many interesting characters in both of those regions, and then you all banded together into ultimately take down the bad guy. It was so cool. Like in Ishikari with the Oni, you had it was like a full-on war, right? The samurai were just struggling to. They were just engaged in a full-on war with the guy, and you had to find ways to breach his heavily fortified castle to eventually kill him. Then with the Kitsune, it was kind of different because rather than an all full-on war, he had his little team of sneaky bastards who were going around all doing all sorts of cloak and dagger stuff to try and keep the region in check that way. It wasn't like it was more sneaky than the Oni who just barged in and set everyone on fire, right? And with that, the whole hunt for the Kitsune is a lot different than for the Oni, because rather than trying to find ways to breach through his unbeatable army, you need to actually find where the guy is. And all the missions in Teshio Ridge are very kind of sneaky and stealthy rather than the large scale fights that you had against the Oni, which I think was really cool to have this kind of contrast between the bad guys. I really like that, and the bad guys themselves were really cool characters. I think the Oni was really cool, and the Kitsune as well. And the the plot twist that Oyuki was actually the Kitsune was really well done too. I love those two parts of the game. They were just so you get so many cool interactions with those characters. Like Jubei's interactions with Asu are so good, and Oyuki as well. And with then the plot twist happens, and Atsu is kind of on the fence on whether to trust Oyuki or not. It's really just really fun dynamics happen during these two parts of the game with all those different characters. You got the Spear Master in Ishikar Plane, I think was a great character. You got the Kusari Gamma Master in Teshio Ridge, he was a great character. Like it was just so enjoyable. You had this whole pack of friends, two packs of friends, one for each region, working towards the destruction of the bad guys. I really enjoyed that. It was so fun. Yeah, so those are definitely the best parts of the game. Then Oshima Coast comes along at the end, and I still really liked it, but like it wasn't as good as the previous ones. Well, there are still a lot of things I really liked about Oshima Coast, the final region. Like I think for one, the spider is a really cool character. I actually wasn't expecting to like him that much. And there are some really cool interactions with Jubei Oyuki who don't really trust each other. They also bring in Kiku in the and that at that part of the game, which I think also she's also a really cool character. Gives Atsu more she gives Atsumori a reason to abandon her quest for vengeance, which is really cool. And yeah, I really liked the whole like I really liked the story in Oshima Coast up until the point where Atsu decides to go after the dragon instead of helping her family. And then the stuff that happens after that. That felt a bit rushed. I mean, I don't want to say rushed is a big word, but I think the final stretches of the game were kind of it really happened super fast, and there wasn't much time to kind of reflect on what had happened. Like she goes after the dragon, and then Jubei and Naoki get captured, and then she's really sad. She brings Kiku back home, and then you have this little scene where Kiku's like super angry and she wants to get revenge on Saito, and that's supposed to like Atsu's supposed to get like, oh no, she's becoming like me or something like that. She goes over, has a talk with Hanbei, and he and then he tells her, okay, you need to find the spider then. So she finds the spider. I actually like the part with the spider because, like I said, I really like him as a character. But then you just go into the fortress. There's a huge escape, and then Saito comes over to your house and you fight him, and the game's over. I don't know, like it really feels like the very last part of the game happened way too quickly, and there were some things that they wanted to do, like some themes that they wanted to explore, but didn't have enough money, enough time. I don't know, like that whole deal with Kiku being like scared of Atsu when she killed everyone. On that little scene where Kiku was like super angry and Atsu was like, "Oh no, she's just like me." Like all of that kind of those were interesting themes that you could have explored, but it really feel like the developers didn't have time for that or money. So yeah, I think the very like final part of the game was it kind of happened a little too quickly. Like they were rushing to get it to get the game finished, you know? And then the very, very end, I also didn't like that much. Like it wasn't trash, but it was just mm, kind of meh. Because for one, I really hate the fact that they killed Jubei. He didn't need to die. When he died, it really reminded me of Paka's death from Ghost of Tsushima, where a good character was killed just because they did something really stupid, and their death was really unnecessary. And like Jubei didn't have to die. His death brought nothing to the story. It wasn't a necessary death whatsoever. He ran at Saito like a complete moron and got himself killed. He didn't need to die. Like I was just like I wasn't sad. I wasn't sad. I was just kind of upset because they killed off a great character in a really lackluster way and a very, very unnecessary one. They didn't need to do that to poor Kiku. Come on. You don't need to kill off her dad like that. Like, come on, man. And then the way that Saito ultimately met his end was kind of anticlimactic. I mean, like I don't know. I don't know why I feel about it this way, but mm, like I think Saito was super cool for most of the game. He was really badass. And then at the end, I don't know. Like he just kind of comes over to your house and is like, "Oh yeah, let's just 1v1." And then you do 1v1, and like the fight with him is cool with word with the he like switches weapons and stuff. But I don't know. I kind of couldn't help but feel like it was a bit anticlimactic for him. I don't know. But other than like that moderately weak ending, the story was great. I do love the overarching theme of the story that there is more to live for than just revenge, and that when Atsu thought that she was just that her life was just over because her family was dead and all she could do is get revenge. But then she met Jubei, she met Oyuki, she met Kiku, and realized that hey, maybe life is worth living. I do really like stories that have a theme like that, where you where where a character that's where you got a protagonist that's really lost and doesn't know what to do, and then eventually they end up finding their way, finding their place in the world, so to say. I do really like that kind of theme. So overall, the story was great, in my opinion. It was really enjoyable. Loved the characters, loved hunting the Oni, the Kitsune, all that. Yeah, like I said, great story with a relatively weak conclusion, but not a horrible one. Okay, I guess that about does it for the story, unless I want to talk about something else. Maybe I can just mention the side quests. The side quests are really good. Like I don't think they still hit as hard as the cutscenes with cutscenes, side quests, as the side quests with like Sensei Ishikawa or Norio from the first game. Because those were absolute bangers. Those two quest lines, but they are still really cool. Like I really love all the masters. The Spear Master, the Kusarigama Master, and the Odachi Master are all great characters. I really like the side quests that you do for them. I really liked Hannah, the kunai lady. She was really cool, and overall, it was cool that every character in this game, like every single shopkeeper, even had at least one side quest that somewhat like explored their character, which was really nice. I really like that. Even the little kid that I that I never bought anything from because I thought he just sold. Thought the stuff he sold was actually useless. He had a really cool side quest near the end of the game, and I like that. I really like when characters get uh, some more screen time like that. It's really cool. Overall, that's my opinion on the story. Yeah, I'm summing it up for the fucking fifth time. Let's just move on to the soundtrack, which I have nothing to say on. I already said I loved the soundtrack for all of the story moments. It was great, but for just regular exploration and like sneaking around enemy bases, it was also great. I love the soundtrack that plays when you just sneak around an enemy base. It's so badass. And the little music that plays whenever you're uh, starting a duel, it's so cool. Okay, yeah, that concludes my review of this lovely video game. It's probably my favorite game of the year so far. I say so far because there are still some games that I want to play this year. Hades 2 is gonna be the next review. Spoiler alert. And we'll see if it if it takes the top spot away from this one. Yeah, I really, really like this game. I think it's, I think it's great. Just all around, really, really good game. And yeah, thanks guys for watching. If you did, I'll see you in, I don't know, see you for a review of Hades 2 when I beat the game. And I'm really hyped for it. So yeah, see you then.